Hey guys, I'm Drago and I have marshmallows.
Nom, nom, nom.
So the FNAF movie is finally here. Oh my god, we actually have it. On the day of recording this, Wednesday 25th, it is out in the UK. Get wrecked, American people, we got it early, woo! I say that, but I'm actually not seeing it till Friday anyway because of timing, but you know what, whatever, we still got it early, haha. Anyways, in celebration of the release, I made an art piece. What a surprise, who would have guessed? I actually had loads of ideas on what to do, so I ended up going to my Discord for help. I did a poll of what you guys wanted to see, and this video is what was voted on. I did say I'll probably do the top two, so look out for a Ball Pit Freddy video soon enough. I have to go through drawing all those balls again. Oh dear. But anyways, there really isn't much to say other than I'm just so excited to go see the movie on Friday. This video will be going up on Friday to coincide with the release with the US and other countries. But yeah, oh my god, it's going to be so good, guys, I bet. And I also want to say absolutely no spoilers in the comments, okay? If I see spoilers, they will be gone. They will be deleted. I don't mind sacrificing myself for the rest of you. But by the time this video is out, I should have gone and seen it anyway, so if I see spoilers, I will be deleting them straight away. I do my best to keep these comments clean for the rest of you who haven't seen it yet. Here is an art piece which is basically William and Springtrap, or Spin Bonnie, or whatever you want to call him. Another sort of monthly Springtrap piece. Yeah, let's go on with it. So if you know me, then you know that I cannot draw humans to save my life. I wish my old iPad hadn't broken because I would be able to show you the sketches on there of my attempts at drawing humans. They are hilariously awful. So doing this art, it was a good idea in my head. It was a pain in practice, but it was also good practice actually. I feel like the human shape didn't come out that badly. Having the two references there of William or Steve or basically Matthew, having him there to basically reference off of and not having to draw the whole thing in one go, just doing it in sections did really help. Speaking of, I still really don't like drawing the Spring Bonnie design. It's so different from the actual like Spring Bonnie / Springtrap we know from the games, and it makes it so hard for me to draw because I just want to go into drawing what I know. But it's so different that if I drew game Springtrap / Spring Bonnie, then it wouldn't look right. So I was so careful in doing these construction lines for both Spring Bonnie and William. Like, these construction lines were a lot more detailed than I normally do them, but it's a good job I did because that solid base did help in the future. I started off with Spin Bonnie and then did the fracture lines where I wanted them. The fracture being the parts where William will become visible, and then I did the construction lines for William, and then we went from there. I was also super slow and meticulous with the actual sketch because once again these two are very foreign to me. I've got both a Springtrap / Spin Bonnie design that I've only ever drawn once before, plus a human, which, oh god. The sketch alone took an hour for me to do, just to make sure everything was right. When sketching, I used to actually use my colour brush, which basically doesn't have any stabiliser on it or any pressure sensitivity. It's just a flat, solid colour brush. But I actually have switched using my line art brush instead. This brush is solid, but it also has pressure sensitivity with size and opacity, and it has a stabiliser to it so my lines are smooth. This was a recent change I've made. If you go back a few videos, you won't see it, but in some more recent videos you will. I especially use it when doing big pieces like this because it means I can get so much more detailed. It's just a lot cleaner and makes the lining so much easier. That's something I learned, is that while your sketch can be messy if you really want it to, and it's, you know, if you know what you're doing, then go for it, sometimes a cleaner sketch is easier for the line work. I've done really messy sketches in the past and then been lining it and thinking, what the hell was I even doing here? What is this supposed to be? So if you're just starting, this is what I'd suggest. You could do a messy sketch to start off with, but I would say do another sketch over the top of that that's cleaner and more refined. That way when you go to your line art, it is so much easier to do. So yeah, your refined sketch, I'd say just try and make it as clean as possible. Now to do the shatter effect, I did start off making it black, knowing that I can change the colour of it later. And I used a thicker brush and just really made use of the pressure sensitivity. Just as I was drawing it and wiggling back and forth, I would lift my pen slightly and then put it down harder, then lift slightly and put it down harder, just to get this massive variation in the line, which really makes it look more like a sort of proper shattered broken effect. Actually, when doing this in my head, I had, I don't know if you guys know, but Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, I had the dimensional shatter effect in my head while doing this. That was my inspiration for these effects. I then put my brush way down in size and went into line and everything else. Now I was contemplating between size 1 or 1.5. 1.5 is thicker but gives a bit more line weight variation. Size 1 is thinner and can make things a little bit more realistic. With the style I had in mind, I chose 1, but that meant I had to make sure I went back and added the line weight variation where it was needed with a thicker brush, because the size 1 on the side and below are very sort of solid and flat sizes. You could get the opacity of the pressure sensitivity, but it's not so good at getting the size. So line weight variation is basically non-existent. So as you know, as I've said in other videos, line weight variation is really important to make sure your line work doesn't look boring and flat, because that is such a common thing that I see artists saying. It's always like, oh, my sketch looks so good but my line art just ruins it. And I agree, I think that sometimes on my own art, but I think that's where adding this variation in the line weight is how you fix it. It's just, it makes it much more dynamic and it just makes it work as well as the sketch. Now there's probably a way better way for me to do this, but I basically went on the shatter folder and I turned the opacity of it down, and then I just sort of traced inside the line, so here on Spin Body, to make sure that it's completely solid, there's no gaps. I would draw the parts that are visible, and then where it hits the shatter effect, I would basically just then trace over the shatter effect and join it up to be a solid shape. There's probably a way better way I could have done this, but at the time I could not think of one. So that's what I did, probably wasted a lot of time, but it worked. Now, not only am I awful at drawing humans and I avoid it at all costs, I've only ever sketched them. There are very few occasions that I've properly drawn them. Very old art, way back in the day, 2014, 2015-ish. Really old, cringy FNAF art of the Night Guard and f***ing Vincent, Purple Guy, whatever. Oh my god. But yeah, in recent time, I've only ever sketched them as practice. I've never really fully lined or coloured them or anything. Only ones I say I can is Mario characters, and they've not turned out brilliant. They've been alright, but not the best. So yeah, this is really new territory for me. But I think what really helped to get him looking alright was the fact that he had these giant glasses. They were such a good reference point for some reason. Anyways, because he had a bit more of a realistic style to him, that's also why I chose the thinner line art. But in hindsight, a thicker brush probably would have hidden my mistakes a lot better. But either way, honestly, I'm happy with how the sketch came out. I'm happy with how the line art came out. Both look great on both Spin Bonnie and William. And at this point in the piece, I was quite happy with how it was looking. right, colouring. Once again, I started with flat colour before doing anything else with the colouring. It just helps me get the base shades, base hues, and get the base shape in as well. That way I can use clip and mask to make sure my actual colouring doesn't go out over these lines. A lot of experimentation with what hues and stuff I wanted, especially on Spring Bonnie with his sort of browny yellow and stuff. And then I struggled a little bit to get a skin tone for William, but I got there eventually. So for the background, I wanted them to have their matching colours. Springtrap / Spring Bonnie is associated with green. This is especially true in the movie where when he's seen, there's quite often a sort of green lighting around him. And as we all know, William, purple guy, he's gotta have purple. And for the shadow effect, I went for pink to start off with, but I did end up changing this later. So I went round and cleaned up any line work that was peeking out through the shadow effect, and then I started to think about the lighting itself. I did almost start texturing before doing the lighting, but then I remembered, no, I need to figure out where my lights are going. So once I had that figured out and I put a bit of a gradient in the background to make it work a bit better, I went into texturing Spring Bonnie first. I overlaid a sort of fabric effect with the airbrush before moving in with my watercolour brush just to add some basic shape shading and a bit more texture with blots of noise and Berber. With William, I kept the watercolour brush smooth and really referenced the photo just to see how skin tones and stuff shift throughout lighting. So tones actually get quite brown and reddish in areas. You'd be surprised how many tones and colours are actually in a skin tone. I probably could have used so many more colours in this, but I was just scared of messing it up, so I really do need more practice with humans. Felt way more confident with Spring Bonnie though. Once I got sort of a base texture on both of them, I went back to Spring Bonnie to do some more refined texturing. Just really exaggerated shapes and bends and thinking about how 3D the suit is. And I've just realised I forgot to add rust to the endo. Usually I do that, usually I add a little bit of rust texture when it's Springtrap / Spring Bonnie. But I actually forgot to do that, but oh well, it's not that noticeable I guess. So the next thing I did was now some general lighting. Basically, once I'd put the layer in, what I did was put preserve opacity on, which meant whatever I'd colour would only be within the shape of that layer. And I coloured in the areas that cover Springtrap green and the areas that cover William purple. Then for both of them, I added just a really solid layer of dark colour, basically. For Springtrap, it was dark green. For William, it was a dark purple. And then I used what I call my Painterly eraser, which is basically an eraser that isn't solid. It is very faded and feathered, and it reacts a lot to my pressure sensitivity, and I use that to erase the areas that would become highlighted. So this allows me to get some general shadowing in. Usually I don't do this, but if it's a piece that's got a general darker lighting theme and it's going to need a lot more darker shading than light, then I will do it this way, just to add that base layer. I tend to use different types of layers for shading. For that, basically I mentioned before, it was a shade and shine layer. But for the rest of it, I mostly use overlay layers. It just is what looked the best. I quite like overlay layers because they actually keep quite a bit of colour to them as well. So you can really get an idea of a coloured light, which was quite important for this piece because it's very colour oriented. It was making sure that Springtrap keeps the green theme and William keeps the purple theme. I decided to add some little ghoulish reflections on the knife. Very primitive, very simple little things. I don't know why, I just thought it would be cute to do it. I mean, it's Halloween soon, so there you go, scary little ghoul faces. They're actually kind of cute. Well, that didn't work out. But yeah, they're just little reflections on the knife to add a little bit more of a charm to it. I don't know, they're the crying children, there you go, good enough. Law solved. Moving on to effects, you can see here I was still going to do it all as pink. Basically, I had changed the base layer to white to then have a pink glow behind it and a pink glow over the top of it. But as I was doing this, I thought it just doesn't work for Springtrap's part to have this sudden pink on it. So while I went back and added a few more sort of lightning bits, whatever, to around some of the shadow effect, I was thinking about it and I thought, what if I just colour the outer glow green and the inner glow purple? That would fit the two themes. So that's what I ended up doing. I made the first layer a shine layer with the white. Below that was a layer that was slightly blurred to make a bit of a glow behind, and this layer was the sort of more intense glow right next to it. And then over the top of that was a hard mix layer, which was a bit more of a broad glow, a bit more blurred, and that just gave an overall general glow. I also went in and added a little bit more shading just to refine it a bit further because some areas felt a little bit flat, especially on Spring Bonnie. And then just some lighting experimentation. Look, I'm going to be 100% honest, but at this point in the piece, with, you know, the effects done and the more refined shading in there, I was looking at it and I honestly hated it. And I'm still not 100% with it now. It's a couple days later since I finished it, and I don't know, William looks fine. That part is actually the okay part somehow. I'm just not a fan of Spring Bonnie in this. I don't know why, his face just looks so flat. Like, I don't know if you guys know, this might be a British story, but when I was a kid, I used to have a book read to me called, I think it was called Flat Stanley or something. And it was about a boy who was laying in bed and he had this sort of cork board thing above his bed on the wall. You know, those ones that you can like put push pins in and stick notes to and stuff. And that fell off on top of him while he was sleeping and it completely flattened him, and he was now called Flat Stanley. He was completely flat and he would like go around sneaking under people's doors and stuff, doing things like, oh god, it was weird. But yeah, basically his spin body just reminds me of that. There's not much 3D-ness to his head really. It just looks like he's flat. His face is flat. I don't know. I just don't really like it. But you know what? Others say they like it, and I guess that's all that matters really. I mean, that's what I'm here for, is to allow others to enjoy my art and my videos and make people happy and smile. So as long as others like it, that's all that matters. But yeah, after some final effects, which is basically just a bit of lens flare and stuff, a bit of more sort of harsh, shiny lines, it was done. And there we go, there's the art piece which I really don't like. God, I don't know, literally, the bit with William looks fine to me, it's Spin Bonnie. And I don't know why, I just don't like how it turned out. He looks so flat to me and I can't figure out why. I mean, maybe someone in the comments is going to be able to tell me why it looks so flat. Maybe it's because I've stared at it and looked at it for so long that I'm just not seeing what the problem is. But yeah, no, it's not my favourite piece I've done. But the fact that the part with William looks good, and the fact that humans are just the things that I can not draw to save my life, and that's actually the part that came out all right, that's encouraging, you know, that means I'm doing something right. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, maybe leave a like, consider subscribing, I would really appreciate it. And yeah, that's all. Happy FNAF movie release day! I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!